9 o'clock, so we're about to start. Welcome everyone to the 16th of November 2022 Mercury Bay Community Board meeting. I will just start with the Karakia. Would you like us to stand?
No, this is me.
Tukua te wairua kia rere ki ngā taumata hei arahi kia tātou mahi me te tātou whai. I ngā tikanga a rātou mā, kia mau, kia ita, kia kore ai enaro, kia papuri, kia whakamaua, kia tina. Tina. Huiei, tai ie. And just in English, allow one spirit to exercise its potential and to guide us in our work as well as in our pursuit of our ancestral traditions. Take hold and preserve it, ensure it is never lost, hold fast, secure, draw together and affirm.
Yay!
Thank you. So, have a seat. So, welcome and congratulations to all our new board members and councillors. For those who don't know me, I think you all know me, but Heather Bruce, I'm the area manager. We have Dean Allen at the other end of the table, who's our district manager. I have Esther to the right of me. She's our committee advisor for this meeting before she goes on maternity leave. Behind me, beside the wall, I have Helena Stratford, who's the area administrator for the community management team. And sitting beside her is Kelly Martin, who has the same role at the moment, but will be taking over as your committee advisor from the next meeting. So thank you, everyone, and we'll just move straight into item 1.1. And I have to call the following members to read and sign their declarations to the Mercury Bay Community Board in accordance with Schedule 7, Clause 14 of the Local Government Act 2002. So I'd like to start with Kristen Louise Robinson. You can speak.
I, Kristen Louise Robinson, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Mercury Bay community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Mercury Bay Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
Thank you. Does it need to be the same? Yeah. Okay, Dawn Joy Connell.
Indeed. I, Dawn Joy Connell, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Mercury Bay community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of Mercury Bay Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
So Rebecca Percival.
I, Rebecca Percival, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Mercury Bay community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of Mercury Bay Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
And John Kenneth Grant, please. Sorry.
I, John Kenneth Grant, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skills and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Mercury Bay community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Mercury Bay Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
Thank you, everyone. So I put the resolution that the Mercury Bay Community Board receives the making and attesting of members' declarations report dated 1st of November 2022. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
A seconder? Yes or no? Yes. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 1.2, are there any apologies?
The members present.
Members present, there being none, we'll move to the next item, which is item 1.3, the election of the chairperson and deputy chairperson. So we'll take this in two parts, and we'll do the chairperson first. So I take it that you've read the report. The suggested resolution is, or the staff recommendation, I should say, is that we look at voting system B. So I'd ask if we have, is this one just, sorry, excuse me, I'm just doing those first before we do the nominations.
A mover and a seconder for receiving the report.
Okay, so yep, we need a mover and a seconder for receiving the report.
I'll second.
And we need an approver and seconder for approving the system of voting, which the recommendation is system B in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 25(2). Okay. Seconder for that?
I'll second.
I've got Caroline for seconding that. All those in favour of those two resolutions?
Aye.
Anyone against? Carried. Okay. So we'll move on to suggested resolution 3. And I would ask if there are any nominations for the position of chairperson for the Mercury Bay Community Board.
I have pleasure in nominating Chrissy Robinson for the position of chairperson for the board.
I'll second that nomination.
Thank you. Is everyone in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against?
Great.
Thank you. Pass that. Sorry. Appoint Chrissy as to the position of chairperson of the Mercury Bay Community Board in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 37. Okay. Suggested resolution 4. So I still do that one? Yeah. Is to elect the deputy chair. So ask for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Rika Percival.
So we have a nomination for Rika. Does anyone
Second that?
Dali seconded that. Everyone in favour?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, so we duly appoint Rika Percival to the position of Deputy Chairperson of the Mercury Bay Community Board in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2002, Schedule 7, Clause 17.
Yes, we're just going to do a little shuffle around the chair beside us. Would you like to come up beside?
Shall I move around this way?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll just get
Do you want me on that corner?
Oh, okay.
and then both of us.
Do you want me to swap place with you?
We'll get her in the middle between myself and Heather, if that's okay. It's fine, like.
Best to we swap. Yes, you have me in, I'll have you.
Sorry, musical chairs, everyone won't be a moment.
So where do you want me to go?
And maybe just get Chrissy up and then you guys can move down a little bit.
I'm still connected to the. Congratulations, Chrissy. That's awesome. Just don't sit down.
You taking that? I'm just going to
Okay, yeah, sure. Just push me around. That's all right. One little bit of it's feng shui.
Hello, neighbour.
Oh, this thing like enemy country before.
Yeah, I like it. Will I reach? Yes. Oh, sorry, Beth.
There's spare space around here as well if you need.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I want to look into your lovely big brown eyes.
Lucy.
You can.
So I say 1.4.
Right, we're gonna recommence now, please. Go,
Okay. Item 1.4, general explanation of statutory requirements for elected members 2022. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Bess, second by Delly. Speaker?
Yes, so we'll invite Alison Hanson to speak to this report. She's online now.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I have to apologise for those elected members who have heard this presentation before. Councillors received this particular report at their inaugural meeting, and staff will be getting quite familiar with it too now that they've heard it a few times. This report is the statutory requirement to go through some of the laws affecting elected members. What is required is that you get an overview of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, and that we include the Local Authority Members Interests Act, the Crimes Act, Secret Commissions Act, and the Financial Markets Conduct Act. We, in addition, briefly touch on protected disclosures, the Protection of Whistleblowers Act, Public Records Act, and the Health and Safety at Work Act. This information should be familiar to you in terms of induction materials that you've already received, but this is the presentation of a report which is required by statute. There will also be other information progressively rolled out over the term around elected members' obligations, so look out for that, which will come through to you from Governance Services. So to make a start, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, that's a key piece of legislation for elected members. Its shorthand name is LGOIMA. It provides that local authority activities are open and transparent. So it deals with how local authority information is handled, as well as the way in which business meetings are conducted. In relation to access to information, the key principle is that information held by a local authority should be available to the public unless there is good reason to withhold it and it's in the public interest to withhold. There are good reasons contained in the Act, and common examples of good reasons that you might come across will be withholding information to protect an individual's privacy, avoiding disclosure of a trade secret, or unreasonable commercial prejudice that may follow, maintain confidentiality, or to maintain legal privilege. But as I said, if it's in the public interest to withhold, then those grounds will be utilised. Any person requesting information can make a complaint if they're unhappy with the information that they receive, and complaints go to the Office of the Ombudsman. Authority to make decisions on requests for information is delegated to the Chief Executive and subdelegated to staff by the CE. So any request for information that elected members receive should be referred to the CE in the first instance, and she will then direct that to other staff to manage and take care of. Any information which is marked public excluded should not be released outside of the meeting concerned. So turning to meetings, LGOIMA provides rules that meetings need to be public, and the public can only be excluded under certain grounds as well. And those are similar to the ones that we would rely on to withhold information in appropriate circumstances. The LGOIMA also says, of course, that meetings must be held in public, and an agenda must be publicly available 2 clear days prior to the council meeting. So if there is a late item, the mayor or chairperson can include it, but it will likely only be for very major decisions that are to be made, because if it is a minor matter, it will still need to be referred to a later meeting that can then be publicly notified and a decision made in public at a later time. The Local Authority Members' Interest Act 1986. This act is designed to protect the integrity of local authority decision making and deals with conflict of interest. And there's two types of interest that we'll touch on now. Under the Act, it is mostly concerned with pecuniary interests, which are involving money, either directly or indirectly. You cannot enter into a contract with the council worth more than $25,000, including GST, unless the Auditor General approves it. Breach of this rule automatically disqualifies a member from office. You cannot participate in matters before the council in which you have a pecuniary interest, other than an interest in common with the public, such as being a ratepayer, just like everybody else. Breach of this rule is a criminal offence and results in automatic disqualification from office. Note that your spouse may hold an interest or a family trust may have an interest in a matter. So it is for the elected member to consider their wider circumstances, and it is your obligation to declare an interest and comply with the Act. The Office of the Auditor General does produce some guidance information to members which assist in relation to this Act, and governance services have material around that as well, which you have also received during induction. There are new amendments to the Local Government Act, which is worth touching on right at this point. You will have heard that there is a public register of interest to record members' interests. This will become a requirement after the 20th of November. Members will be required to provide returns to a registrar who will be appointed to keep the register. Turning to non-pecuniary interests, this is an interest not involving money and is commonly referred to as bias or predetermination. Bias may exist whereby conduct or statements a member may indicate they have predetermined a matter before hearing it, or if the member has a close relationship with an organisation or an individual affected by the matter. It's the validity of the council's decision which can be put in risk if there is bias or predetermination. And perception can be quite important when considering matters of bias or predetermination. Under the Crimes Act, there are 3 sections we are required to bring to your attention: Section 99, Section 105 and 105A. Section 99 defines a member as an official for the purposes of offences, and offences are contained in Section 105 and 105A. It is an offence to accept or solicit a bribe or use information obtained in your role for financial gain. Offences are punishable by a term of imprisonment up to 7 years. A conviction will disqualify a member from office. The Secret Commissions Act 1910. This Act establishes offences also, and you're an agent for the purposes of this Act. You cannot accept gifts without the consent of the council. You must disclose a pecuniary interest in any contract you make with the council. You must not knowingly deliver a false receipt, invoice in relation to the council's business. Offences under this Act are punishable by a term of imprisonment not exceeding 7 years. The Financial Markets Conduct Act 2013. This Act places members in the same position as company directors whenever council offers financial products, such as an issue of debt or equity securities. Elected members may be personally liable if documents are registered under this Act, such as a product disclosure statement, which contains false or misleading statements. Protected Disclosures Protection of Whistleblowers Act. This is a new Act, but it follows the previous Act's purpose. If you become aware of serious wrongdoing in the course of your role, you are protected from liability when disclosing that wrongdoing to authorities. Under Council's process, the options to report potential wrongdoing include reporting to the Council's confidential provider, PwC, the Council's manager of people and capability, the group manager corporate services, or the chief executive. It depends on the nature of the matter as to who would be the appropriate person to report to. Public Records Act 2005. Public Records Act establishes rules around creating and keeping full and accurate records of council business. It has a role to enhance public confidence in the integrity of local authority records. Records are widely defined. It can be a signature, seal, text, images, sound, speech, or data stored in any device or medium. It is the responsibility of the member to determine if they hold information which is a record under this Act, and to ensure it is included in the Council's records. So please refer any information that you hold of that nature through the Chief Executive or to Governance Services to assist with having matters included in our public records. The Health and Safety at Work Act 2015. Under this Act, the Council is the PCBU, which is the person conducting a business or undertaking. This Act places duties on people who are in the best position to control risks to health and safety as are appropriate in the workplace. For the purposes of the Health and Safety at Work Act, elected members, which include the Mayor and Councillors, but actually excludes Community Board members, are officers under the Act. The CE and GMs are also officers, and officers have obligations of due diligence. So those are the matters that I am bringing to your attention today. There is obviously the report in full in your packets. If there are questions arising throughout the term, please feel free to refer those through to the Chief Executive, and I'm sure she will refer that to the appropriate staff member as required. So that concludes my report.
Kia ora.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I put the motion forward. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carried. Suggested resolution that the Mercury Bay Community Board receives the general explanation of statutory requirements for elected members 2022 report dated 8th November 2022. Yep. Okay, so item 1.5, Community Board Standing Orders for 2022-2025 term. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Bess.
Oh, I'll second it.
Seconded by Peter. We have speakers.
Yep, so I will just quickly talk and say standing orders just contains the rules for conduct and proceedings in community board meetings to ensure local authority exercises their decision-making responsibilities transparently. They have been updated and they fall in line with LGNZ guidance, so it is standard. Any questions? Nope. Good.
I put forward the motion forward. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carried. Suggested resolution that the Mercury Bay Community Board receives the Community Board Standing Orders for 2022-2025 term report dated 16th November 2022. Number 2, adopts the Community Board Standing Orders as contained in Attachment A of the agenda report, which notes A, the casting vote is available for use by the chairperson. B, audio link or audio visual link is available for use to enable members to join the meeting. And C, the default position for the speaking and moving option is motions is option C. Okay. Item 1.6 is public forum. I call.
Yep, so if you could call Margaret as the speaker. Marguerite, sorry.
Marguerite as the first speaker.
Okay.
There was a microphone in progress. Can speak loud and you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can do it. Marina, everyone, and thank you for letting me speak for the third time on a very important subject. I'm not here by myself. I have been announced as the person who is now talking to you on behalf of the Great Power Association. We've got 348 members, and so I've been appointed on their behalf. So maybe you wish to make a note. I've been here for the third time now, and we have over-exhausted the question that on the Super Bowl card concession for the Pikianga ferry is nothing happening because the ferry is a commercial enterprise. So I'm going back to 2016, where I had dialogue with Waikato Regional Council, and TCDC would say it's not us because it is transport and you should have it in the long transport plan. So I wrote a submission, and coming back to 2016, someone in Waikato Regional Council said, for what I can gather, a government fund is made available to Waikato Regional Council to distribute as seen appropriate, and we are quite convinced that in light of the frequent use made by elderly locals and elderly visitors to our town, that this request is very reasonable. After all, not only the cemetery and the landing, but many of us enjoy the strolls to the cafe and so. And you see in my 1,000 signatures, letters of Dr. Sue Gray, who said, this is actually coming down to mental health and health problems when clients actually don't, patients don't come to their appointments because they've got no money to go and have transport, which is a very important thing for the elderly. Now, after the ferry, as I said, it was completely exhausted, ferry from commercial enterprise won't go there. Someone came up with the idea and said, well, we need to put it up for tender. Obviously, the ferry operator wasn't quite happy because he bought the ferry for more than $500,000, and why should he put it up for tender and hope that he gets the contract back? I mean, he was sitting here at the time, Jeremy. And I thought he's doing a great job, so that's not what we want to do. So we exhausted all the other options, and I don't want to burden you with what we had been saying. To include the submission for long-term transit plan was ignored, and no one came back to me. And so I was actually hoping with this new team that someone is appointed to look after the elderly. So it's actually easy if you were to say you do youth, you do elderly, so that we have a communication going. And it was almost like close intimacy issues. I mean, you can understand, and I understand. I don't want to have thousands of letters of use, but if we have one person to relate to, it would make it all much easier. So that was in hindsight, my thing. And the other thing was when Clive in 2016 said, sure, it should be done and should be paid for, then the Mike Garris, because, you know, obviously I was onto him, and I said, well, where is the money from the funding government? So the Mike Garris, the chief financial officer, said, it's important to note that council now receives its super gold funding from government as bulk funding, and we do not have any ability to secure new additional funding. 2016. Now I thought, well, where's the fund money going to? I thought that if there is $500,000 or $1 million coming from the government, we could do the other way and say, when Waikato holds the money and it's fed here, obviously there's very little left because Waikato has the hospital and blah, 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 blah. I'm just browsing through ideas here because we are working together now as a new team. I think it's good. So I'm very positive and I won't let go, as you can imagine. And on these letters, which I didn't renew, is land sold. Thank you, Scott Simpson, and all the important people who have actually very much a powerful position to help us here. So
You have 1 minute left.
okay. 1 minute, okay. One person said TCDC should provide a direct subsidy to the ferry operator for each gold card passenger that they carry. Obviously, no, we don't have any money. Is there anyone in the Mercury Bay Community Board who would say that one of their roles is to represent the interests of the elderly in this community? Because I passionately believe this is in the interest of the elderly in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions? Thank you. Thank you.
And we've got Richard Holmes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Richard Holmes, I'm a resident or ratepayer in Hahe Beach. And I came here today because I wanted to sort of gain a bit more understanding as to why a bollard has been installed at Hahe Beach boat ramp. It's a sort of a precious part of the Hahe community and has been for as long as I can remember. I've been going there for 50 years. I'm a second generation property owner there. It's always been enjoyed by and used by boaties without incident, and it's it's part of the fabric of Hahei. And so I guess first question would be, I'd like to try and understand a bit more about what were the events that led up to that decision being made, what was the rationale for putting a bollard in, and secondly, especially given that there was a lot of consultation around the reserve management plan very recently, which was adopted in 2021. That document specifically refers to the public boat ramp at Hahei and its use for small boats and axle trailers to be able to launch at Hahei Beach. So one, what's the rationale for putting the bollard in? And two, why were residents and ratepayers not consulted with about something that is significantly detrimental to many of the boaties in the Hahei area?
Cool, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Richard?
Richard, it was you seem to be involved in it.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, I'm just putting the face to the name. Thank you for that.
Through the chair, I believe that it will be addressed.
We'll
table a correspondence report, but staff will address it after the meeting.
So
staff will address after the meeting. They'll contact you about your questions and things like that.
Also, that
Public
questions
forum.
aren't responded to in a public
No,
forum?
unfortunately not. No, members can't respond to questions. They can ask you questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have some.
Yeah, well, it's I want to understand why. Are they blocking it or not? Clearly, the bollard has been installed. It's not fully in place yet, but it's ideally it's for some reason it's been put there to restrict access for some reason. So I'd like to understand why. The second thing I would make, if you guys aren't answering questions here, is that hopefully I've got across and I hopefully represent most of the boaties in the Hahei area. It's precious to us, its use. And so I really do need to understand the rationale for it. But that reserve land, that boat ramp were gifted by the Harson family back in the day. And I just don't see how suddenly it can be privatised and only be made use of by commercial operators.
So just to give you some context, I think the first we, as a board, heard about it when the emails came through yesterday and the day before. And it's an operational matter. That's why we can't answer it, because we don't have a background.
Right.
Just so that you have that level of understanding. But we have certainly picked up on the emails. There's been a few from your community, and I know staff have it on their radar, and they will be coming back to that community.
That's right. Thanks,
just to give you some understanding of why we can't answer questions
I'd be
right
concerned
now.
as a board too that something like that has happened under your watch. I mean, I would have thought they should be consulting with you guys as a board, in addition to when you consult with us as ratepayers. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Same topic.
Penny Clayton?
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Nora.
I'm Penny, I'm the chair of the Hahei Ratepayers Association. And welcome to all you new guys. It's very exciting to see a new community board, and congratulations to our new councillors. So kia ora. I'm speaking to a letter that the Hahei residents and ratepayers wrote to the community board regarding the erection of the bollard on the access way to the beach of the Harsent Avenue car park. Forgive me for reading. We have received a wave of upset feedback from our community, and rightly so. Something that's intrinsic to Hahei, boat launching from the beach, is being eroded. We have three main concerns about this. Consultation, none took place. This decision is based on several people lodging requests for service as opposed to democratic process. So in essence, the tail's wagging the dog. The reserve management plan specifically refers to this ramp as a boat launching for small boats. In addition, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong here, any changes to a reserve should at least have the affected parties consulted, and it didn't happen. The last time this wasn't done was what we call in Hahei barbecue gate, when the barbecues were installed on the reserve at the beachfront, and it divided the community for a very long time. So let's not do that again. Everyday use, so that's the third concern. Second concern, this ramp is used most days by the kayak concessionaire. It's used by surf lifesaving in the summer and occasionally by FENS and ambulance when retrieving patients from the beach. We're not certain that the inconvenience and time delay for all these users has been fully thought through. Giving someone a key to use when access is of the essence is going to lead to delays that could, for example, be life-threatening. And the third comment that we have is the health and safety component. We've been told it's a health and safety reason. Using health and safety as an excuse is spurious reasoning. As Hatu Hone, St John's station manager in the area for 8 years and an ambulance officer for 15, I have never been to a vehicle or boat versus a person on that ramp, ever. Indeed, I've never even heard of a near miss. I've been to incidents on sorry, I'll get this correct, Kotahuri ki te Rangi Wigmore Stream Reserve. There have been people fall off the back of trailers and get run over by the trailer and all that sort of thing. That has happened there, never happened at this ramp. So the only time really that we use it is to make sure that when people can't mobilise on the beach, they're able to be extricated. When talking to the community, we've not yet heard any positive support for this move. Other feedback we've received from the community includes, it's more of a nosh hazard, me driving my amphibious boat at 9 kilometres an hour along Hahe Beach and Pa roads, with traffic backing up behind me, than driving 30 metres down a ramp to the water. The ramp itself was completely refurbished within the last couple of years, with the laying of goby blocks, and it's now in a really good condition. The ramp has been used by locals and commercial users for many years with no issues. And if the commercial users can continue to use the ramp, surely ratepayers can. And I've been talking to the community, and members of the community with reduced mobility, they launch their kayaks there, they back their gators or their quad bikes down as far as they can go onto the ramp, not going onto the beach, so they can push their kayaks onto the sand and not have to drag them from the car park. So you're disadvantaging not only boat owners, but also people who are just wanting simple kayaking or access to the beach that way. Our opinion is that council will be better placed using the funds they're spending on the bollard, and by the way, the hole's filling up with sand already, on a simple sign that says, no vehicles past this point unless boat launching. We're deeply concerned that this is the thin end of the wedge in Hahe regarding vehicle access to the beach. And the council representatives, and there are a couple of you here, who attended our recent AGM could be in no doubt that vehicles on the beach is a touchy subject. We discussed the topic, and while acknowledging—
1 minute left.
I'm going to be done very soon. It's the new Murray McLean. We discussed the topic, and while acknowledging the ecological needs of the beach, as well as the needs of the community, we agree that there's no easy fix to this. You can't have a blanket approach to vehicles on the beach because you've got to hit a balance. So it has to be handled with delicacy, and the erecting of a bollard without consultation can't be classified as delicate. And finally, on a personal note, I would have expected, based on the cordial working relationship we have built as ratepayers in Hahe with council over the years, that I wouldn't have had to have learned about this through the grapevine. Ngā mihi, and thank you for your time. Thanks, guys. Any questions?
I hear what you're saying, and I'll reiterate what Rita said about the emails that we received from Hahe when first we knew about the bollard. So in context, how many access points do you have for boats too? And that's
using this one as an access point, yeah, there's the Wigmore Stream.
So it's quite limited, the places where people can actually.
And yes, we've got
beachfront housing.
Yeah, you do. So that this access way is off the unsealed lower car park off Harsent Avenue.
Is there preference for one of these, or are they both actively used?
They're both actively used. Yeah. And, having spoken to property owners and people who utilise that launching area, if there's people on the beach, they use discretion and they don't use it, or they make sure that there's a path to the beach. So it's not a case of anybody running over anybody or being careless or stupid. The only careless and stupid we have really are holiday visitors who think that they can drive on the beach. And so signage would assist with that.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
John
Maud.
Morning all. Congratulations to you all for being elected. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I'm wearing two caps today, one for the community board and one for the bike park. Community board, community patrol. Firstly, community patrol, we actually do get funding from the council, which is very much appreciated. But on a positive note, I'd like to invite all of you at some stage to come on patrol with us, so you know exactly what is involved. All right, so it's an open invitation. Just give me a call and I'll arrange when it suits you rather than when it suits us. John Ward, you may use it. The patrol, generally, we work in really closely with the police. As we're all aware, police are under the pump. I think the latest figures are they spend 60% of their time on mental health and suicide prevention rather than getting on with policing, which is a bit of a problem. So the idea with community patrol is we want to have more presence, particularly in the holidays and when the silly season's on. Even if we just seem to be moving around the area, it's definitely a deterrent. Even to the extent that we find the skate park, if we park up there, there's no problem. That's all you need to do.
Presence.
Yeah. And to me, that's an assurance to the community that they feel safe. Okay. So that's that one. And
before you move off that, John, how many people are involved with it? How many cars?
Oh, sorry.
How widespread?
Sorry, we've got a vehicle in Cook's Beach, domiciled in Cook's Beach, one here and one in Mercury. Total of 37, I think it is, volunteers. Always after volunteers because, dare I say it, we're a bit of a dad's army and a lot of retirees and health problems or whatever. So we're not allowed out with vehicles. It's a bit different. I used to do it mainly home and it's very different. It was very different in those days. We used to get out and look for streets and all sorts. Now you're not allowed to. But we are support for the police as we require.
The vehicle that you have at Cook's, does it just do Cook's Beach or does it go to Hahei?
No, it covers Hahei, Hot Water Beach,
Oh, good, yeah.
right through. It covers, what do we call it, the dark
Mercury Bay
side.
side, yeah, okay, dark side.
I'm still trying to find out why it's called the dark side.
There's no street lights.
Oh, that's there.
Yeah, because it's over there. People over there are dark, they're lovely.
No, nothing to do with it. So we have those and those groups, Cook's Beach side, they operate separately, although they come under Whittahanger, Mercury Bay.
Yeah.
But they do operate separately, which is good. Margarini is very different. There's 4 cats, a dog and a possum most nights, and they are very good at detecting windows that are left open and what have you from the non-residential places, which works quite well from that point of view. Yep. So always looking for volunteers, always. Okay, bike park. Again, on the positive note, we'd like to invite all of you up there at some stage. We can arrange a barbecue or whatever is appropriate, and I'd like you to meet all the volunteers and see exactly what is going on, because there's a lot of added benefits that people are totally unaware of.
Yes.
And I think it is important to appreciate that, because we see it as a facility to the community that other groups can utilise, whether it be fundraising, picnics, barbecues, birthday parties. We have lots of birthday parties up there, and so that whole area. But you need to kind of go there and get a feel for it on what's going on. You know, we had the college come up and do predator control. That's now been extended into the streams, and they're testing the water and checking the fish. So it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think from the council and community board's point of view, there's nothing like actually appreciating it. You can sit behind the desk and push a paper around all day, but it doesn't work.
Remember the pond too, eh?
Yes, we've still got the pond there, which I'm waiting for you to go for a swim in, but.
Any water, Christmas? Access those.
So John, just a question to understand this a little more. Who actually owns the property that it's on, and is there a lease arrangement or?
It's council owned, and it's a water catchment area, and we have a right to occupy, agreement with the council, rather than a lease. Right. So the right to occupy, from my point of view, is a lot simpler. And we have a good relationship with the council employees. I feel it can always be better, but we do have a good relationship with the council employees. And dare I say it, as far as the bike park's concerned, I'm a bit of a seagull, so I keep an eye on equipment or material that is no longer required by the council, and we utilise it very well within the bike park. So there's some of the stuff, even old road signs, we utilise and repaint them and use them. So there's a lot of stuff there that you need to kind of see to get a view. The other side is, I feel the 5 or 6 years I've been involved, the community grant of $24,000.
1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Sorry. Is totally ineffective. $24,000, and it's been like that for 5 years, is a joke. And I think you should be looking seriously at utilising council facilities and or excess materials to assist other community groups. In other words, it's not necessarily money. There's stuff sitting out there that's not utilised. Sorry.
Through the chair, may I ask a question? Sure. John, can I just clarify the 24,000, we're talking about the community patrol?
No, the community grant that goes to all community groups that you can apply for yearly.
Oh, the grant fund. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yes. So let's think a little bit outside the square, because all you do is you apply for it, and you get, it comes back, you might have applied for a figure 10 grand and you get 2,000, and you say, and it comes back, we've ticked the box, and there was 40,000 applied for against 24,000. Let's just move on from that and see what other resources council can provide for all the hundreds of volunteers out there trying to do the best and make this God's own, if you like, our little touch of paradise. Let's keep it that way, because we've got a lot of people out there doing an awful lot of good work, and they need supporting. Thanks.
Mercury.
Kia ora, kia ora. Ko Nira taku e noa. I've got two things to Chair. I just want to talk about a project called a beautification project that we would like to take place along South Highway West, opposite the OPC, or opposite Moana. It starts. It's a drain. It's an open drain, and it goes all the way to where the BP station is. It's at least 2 kilometres, and we've asked you to stop spraying glyphosates as it's a cancer-causing product, and we wanted to say thanks for not spraying there anymore. However, the grass is growing long. It's like up to here now, and we would like to plant hebes and natives along there to feed the birds, the bees, and the butterflies. We would also like to stop the glyphosates being sprayed out of the windows of the vehicles up at Tarapatiki or up 309 or anywhere where there's banks, because the glyphosates aren't just targeting the toxic plants or the invasive species. They are killing the xerophytic plant systems, the mosses and the lichens and all the things that are good, that hold the whole root systems, that hold the bank together. And we're finding that now with this heavy rain and these weather bombs, that the base of the hill structures are weakened because there's nothing holding those stones and rocks together because of this extensive spraying. They just sit in their vehicles and they just put the wand out the window and drive along spraying. Even up at Tarapatiki, I was a kid that used to horse ride and use the glowworms along those banks to get home with. And you are just spraying these glowworms and everything that is good about Mother Nature, and not targeting the toxic plants such as the woolly nightshade, the wattle, and other things that need to be removed. The request is for hebes, trees, and cabbage trees. Things, of course, if the power lines are there, we don't want tall things, just low-lying things that will feed the skinks, because there's a lot of displaced skinks thanks to the Whitianga waterways. There's a lot of displaced bees, birds, and butterflies as well because of the lack of trees being planted in these subdivisions. And that's just what we'd like to see happen on South Highway West. I have already, thanks to Jane Nightingale, who's donated her not so good looking native plants, have put 5 fingers, some tea tree, carnuka, any flaxes that people have donated to me, anything that I can to make it beautiful. So that's been planted there now that we can't spray there, but we would like it to be a habitat and a corridor or a window like Nelson Council does all through their areas. They feed the birds, the native birds, the bees and the butterflies by creating these corridor or windows for all our species and invertebrates that no one seems to care about in this council.
You have 1 minute left.
Thank you. That's all I want to say about that. The next thing I want to talk to you about is on Monday, the 31st of October, I was handcuffed and violently removed from a hole that was being dug opposite my home, which we came and shared with you guys. I'm not sure about the previous guys, but we presented 672 signatures from residents there stating we did not want a tower being placed at 239 South Highway West. It's on TCDC land, so there is an agreement between Vodafone and TCDC with regards to this. I put this document into council stating that we do not consent to the use of our land for this, and no one replied with this from TCDC, from this legal document that was presented. I'm a nobody, but I believe in good company with many scientific researchers who.
Unfortunately, your time is up.
No, but this is the second thing that I'm discussing, and I should be given another 5 minutes. Because
Sorry, through.
that was about the glass space. This is about what my experience was.
Excuse me, Nara, can I just talk for a moment? Understanding orders is at the discretion of the chair because we have over more than 6.
Yeah, well, these people, okay, you can come and read, you read this. Yep, you read it. Because we've got children on our
I'll quickly
street.
introduce myself. I'm Katrina. I'm a resident of Moore Park Road. That tower that Nira was talking about got put up last week or the week before. We didn't know much about it until Nira, we didn't know anything about it until Nira came around with the petition. We were quite surprised that the community there was not consulted at all or informed, because we do think it's something that seriously impacts our health and the health of our children. So I'll just.
Yeah, just read that.
Oh, and I'm here also on behalf of all the other residents that can't make it because they have jobs or children. I'm nobody. I believe I'm in good company with many scientific researchers also being concerned. As of October 15, 2019, there are 252 EMF scientists from 43 nations who have signed an appeal to the UN, which you can see here, www.emfscientists.org. Copy of portion of the appeal. Numerous recent scientific publications have shown that EMF affects living organisms at levels well below most international and national guidelines. Effects include increased cancer risk, cellular stress, increase in harmful free radicals, genetic damages, structural and functional changes to the reproductive system, learning and memory deficits, neurological disorders, and negative impacts on general well-being in humans. Damage goes well beyond the human race, as there is growing evidence of harmful effects to both plant and animal life. These findings justify an appeal to the United Nations and all member states in the world to encourage the World Health Organization to exert strong leadership in fostering the development of more protective EMF guidelines, encouraging precautionary measures and educating the public about health risk, particularly risk to children and fetal development. By not taking action, the WHO is failing to fulfill its role as the preeminent international public health agency. Now, I think basically the main thing is, not only me, but a lot of people are worried about these effects of the EMF and the radiations and, you know, what these towers do to us. It gets plumbed right next to our house, and we're just really stunned and surprised that why is it been put there without any consultation. And it's a worry. It's a worry, really, because we do think, you know.
Yeah, I paid $772,500 in rates since I've been here, and not one community consultation. Tyrrell got a community consultation. We didn't get a community consultation in Mercury Bay area, and we gave you 672 signatures saying we didn't want it there. You could have picked anywhere else. Maybe the new subdivision that Hoppers are making. They've only paid their rates for only 1 month, 2 months, less than a year. But I've given you guys $72,500 in my time of living in that house.
Thank you for your time. You've taken.
It does give us
I went by police car to Thames and put in prison.
Yes.
You know, that is not acceptable. I'm a good citizen in this town, and I've been contributing to this community for a long time. So we've taken
Through the chair, there is a meeting conduct. You've been asked.
Yes.
Okay, there is a conduct. When you come into this room and present to this board, sorry, through
we're
the
very
chair,
emotional because you could buy our house.
We understand that.
And you've got to pick anywhere in Whirianga.
We've passed on your signatures. We've done what you've asked us to. The board did that through staff.
No one communicated back to
We are
either.
going to
No one
adjourn now and
communicated
have a
back
break.
to us.
Okay.
No one communicated back to any of us from our last previous meeting that I came
Members, we're
to.
just going to take an adjournment while we just finish this public forum session.
And no one's responded back from this.
Yeah, the main concern is why.
Not a single human being.
Why are we not even consulted